doing?
Yeah,
Oh, now
all right.
I think this is our first non-Tuesday game ever, which is interesting. I am setting up something. Oh my god. Very quickly. Are we all here?
Right.
Yep.
Cool. The last thing you guys did was I forget his name.
Save the daughter.
Yes, you guys were talking to Argyle. Yes. You guys got to pick 2 items from his pretty well stocked little wagon there. You guys went with the bow and the robe, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The bow is a +1 bow. I just remembered right now I was going to possibly make that fancier, and I forgot. So I will do that either through this game or after this game. But for the robe of eyes, I'm going to keep it as is. Just get rid of the ability to see things that are invisible. As I don't want to double that up.
Is it a robe or a cloak or a cape?
I have robe of eyes here. Let me look it up. Robe of eyes. Lets you see in all directions and have advantage on perception that rely on sight. You have dark vision out to 120. So you can't see invisible creatures and objects, but you can see into the ethereal plane out to a range of 120 feet. But it does have the negatives of light cast spell or light spell cast on it or daylight cast on it. It's sort of blinded. It is also something you might want to try and conceal to an extent, as it's covered in eyeballs. 1 second. I'm back. So does that make sense?
I'm trying to see. Okay, armor and robes are different categories of items. Okay. So to make sure that you can actually wear armor and it at the same time.
Yeah. It is a wondrous item of rare, I guess rare rarity, and it does require attunement.
I think that's dark vision, right?
Dark vision to 120 feet of runos. Yes.
Yeah.
Which I believe is above average. I could be wrong though. I think 120 is more than the norm. Vision. Yeah.
Hold up, I gotta help Petra with something real quick.
Okay. Other than that, you guys are free to do what you'd like. There's essentially a party going on for the deeds that you have done. Arabelle, I believe that was her name. God, it's like I've lost all my memory, which is great.
Yeah, the daughter was Arabelle.
Perfect.
Argyle's the father, and Lavocious is his brother.
Yes, perfect. You guys did speak with the elf at the first home over here to the north east, and they did mention that you might want to talk to Kashmir or Casimir as well. He is a dark elf, and I think you guys learned that these were possibly the last of their kind. I think you spoke to someone, and they date back to Strahd's time. So possibly someone you guys want to speak to as well. So the Raven is here. I think we're all here. Cool. Yeah, the party's going. I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's probably afternoon time. We'll just go with that. I think you guys sort of headed over here earlier than later. Took some time to find the old Bluto. What did you guys do with Bluto? I forget. He's tied up and he was given to Argyle, right?
We gave him over.
Yeah.
Okay. He's been tied up, and I think he made a comment like he wasn't going to do anything here in front of his daughter. But from everything that you guys have been in contact with her, she seems rather mature for her age. Cool. So again, party's going. You guys are free to the food and the wine and the conversation if you'd like it, and you guys can do as you wish.
Is Observer back?
I haven't talked to them about the lake of their brethren or anything, right?
One more time, Sterling.
I said I haven't asked anybody about the other lake that I'm
I
supposed to do.
think you did. I'm pretty sure you did. They basically kind of confirmed that like the group here and the groups you come into contact with are the more like trader oriented Visanti. There are like sort of not necessarily rogue groups, but groups that don't necessarily fit into the same, I guess, family, if you will. They're still Visanti. He's aware of groups like that. They may be around the lake, but he said his usual like traders and like scouts just don't have any reason to go out there, so they don't. There's no reason to kind of deal with the wildlife and stuff when there's no one to trade with. So he doesn't doubt it, but they didn't have any real concrete, I guess, anything concrete to go off of in terms of who was out there or what they were up to.
Okay.
I guess while we're waiting, let me see. Graham, are you aware of any like cool +1 or any kind of cool bow off the top of your head that I could give? It's not too broken, but kind of cool. I'm gonna look up these magical
just make it a
prices
plus.
here.
There is one. Let me
Dude.
look it up. I can't remember off the top of my head because they don't.
What'd you say, Sterling?
I said you could just make it +2.
Yeah, I'm sure I could. I'm sure I could. Let me see. Like, fuck it. Why not +3? Pick them up.
Does
Go to
plus
the-
3 even exist?
I don't know.
Yes, it does.
Okay, back.
I'll take.
My recommendation is
Okay, I just
Don't.
found I just found D&D best bows, crossbows, and ranged weapons. So let me scroll through here real quick.
Give the best one. When it comes to the robe of eyes,
Yes,
who should have it?
that is a good thing to discuss while I look into this.
I'm the only one that doesn't have dark vision on the team.
What?
the oath
what
bow
else
is
is going
cool.
on with it? What are the other
Yeah, I'm
spells?
reading that now.
Sterling, you're really low, by the way. I don't know if that's.
Whoa.
Technically, the downside to magic bows, and I've never played it this way, is that magic bows that are a +1 or a +2 or a +3 don't actually add damage. They only add to hit because technically it's the ammunition that needs to be magic, but I think that's bullshit.
That's actually kind of
'Cause
funny.
Nobody else, no other weapon type has that effect.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just counter that by saying it does add a damage because the string makes the arrow fly at an even higher velocity. So it penetrates even deeper on the wound. Boom. Solved.
I mean, there's right. Like there's many ways that.
I mean, D&D is a game where they give you rules and you make it your own. You know, you don't have to follow the rules to a T.
Can you get +1 ammunition?
Yes,
So then what happens if you have +1 ammunition with the +1 bow?
makes no difference.
Black holes.
There are no stacking. There's no stacking modifiers in D&D really.
Yeah, okay.
Any better? The sound?
You just take the highest modifier
Sure.
usually, or you get advantage. I mean, advantage
That
is
makes
better than a +1. Advantage is usually worth somewhere between 2 to 4.
Oh, yeah, I mean, double rolls is always going to be incredibly Like way better.
The lower your bonus, the harder it is for you to make the roll. Statistically, advantage gets close to being a +5, and if you are, yeah, there's a curve. It's weird because it's the advantage actually introduces a curve to the probability odds on 5th edition that usually aren't there. But
Hey, just a map question. What we're looking at. What are surrounding the horses?
hatch marks.
What do you mean?
The horses, like
The
little
carts.
Those are horses token and horses drawn onto the map.
Okay.
Yeah, instead of having a bunch of tokens for each one, they just put one here by default. There's a distinguishment between these horses here are of let me see. They're riding horses versus draft horses, so these are presumably faster. That's pretty cool. Look up Oathbow.
I like it because it's actually
Sterling.
interesting.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Like it has a huge benefit with a drawback, which is pretty fun. I'll link it in game.
Oh, fuck.
That's the D&D 50 cal sniper, right? What that thing is. Pick your
Right.
target. You better fucking kill that guy. You're gonna suck at hitting anybody else, but damn, you're gonna fuck that guy up. I did not give my ranger in my game an oath bow. Partially because the ranger actually also ended up becoming, in I think our last game, the most consistent damage dealer of the entire party.
I feel like that's always going to be the case.
Yeah.
And he could fly.
And he could fly. And he could
That's
see.
ridiculous.
Well, he was an Aarakocran ranger. He's a Gloomstalker Aarakocran ranger, which, if you want a consistent damage per round build, that's the build. Fucking nuts.
You get advantage from height. Yeah, I couldn't hear if you said anything.
No. Unless
Okay.
you're. Well, I mean, not by default.
No, I do not think I do. I'd have to look. Hang on, I'm trying to fix this audio thing.
You sound better, Sterling, by the way.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you sound much better. Cool. I like the Oathbow. I don't care either way. It's probably way more expensive than a +1, but it's
Yeah, I'm good with it. That works for me.
It's a plus 3d6.
on one enemy per
Yeah.
day, though.
Yes. And you have to kill them.
And I get no benefits. Oh, they receive no benefits from cover.
And you get advantage against all of them. Or you get advantage on every attack against them.
Against
they can't
one,
get cover,
yeah.
and you do 3d6 extra damage when you hit. You have disadvantage with other weapons. Wait, it's not against other creatures. It's just disadvantage
other
with
weapons.
other weapons.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can still use
really
it
not
against
even
anything.
disadvantage.
But yeah, if you were to like go into melee or something and switch weapons, it would be cool. Fuck it, I don't care. I control everything's health, so let's make it an Oathbow. All right. You guys are free to do as you like. I am going to get some more water and probably drop this call, but I will attempt to walk the way that the headset.
How do I
lets.
add that?
It should be in game, I think. Like actually in the compendium, so you should be able to drag it from there, I think.
oh, where are you? Where is he? Hopefully I can do this. You.
It's under DDB items dump.
Yeah, I can find it, but I don't have permission to drag and drop it. Let me see if I can put it on the party.
You can just drag from chat there, Sterling.
I got it.
Yo,
Yes.
that bow seems fucking broken, bro.
I put one in party loot, but I can't give it to you for some reason. So there's one in party loot now.
I've got one on me.
So essentially, it
Maybe
makes
just delete
a
that one.
ranged character a barbarian who's in rage with an extra 3d6 piercing damage. That's pretty
And I
fun.
don't take I don't get advantage against me.
Yeah, that's insane.
Oh, sorry. I assumed that you knew Elvish because I do expect you to whisper to that thing all the time when you're shooting. So that is part of the prerequisite. So
It does say that, yeah.
Yep. Just learn.
Because
Like,
you can't use the ability
just-
for now.
Yeah, just learn tokens.
Actually, set up a tax
Elvish.
to roll to add flavor text if you want.
That's really cool.
Is
Cool.
it also a +1 weapon?
It's not.
No.
Oh, okay. Just that's magical.
Interesting. It's a magical weapon, so it would technically, I don't know, you have to decide if it does magical damage or not.
I'll say it does magic.
I think it
damage,
does.
'cause that's kind of lame. It's magic because it's alive.
It's literally a sentient bow, motherfucker.
Yeah. It's either.
Well, the bow is
the
alive,
bow
but the
raised-
arrows?
Oh God! What kind of tree was it from? Can we say that people from Texas are dumb? All right. There's a party going on behind you guys. You guys left behind like 3 different boxes of random shit. You may never know what's in them. A carpet, a necklace pendant thing, and then forget what else there was. Some other shit. But yeah, you did mention maybe it would be possible to come back at another time and possibly buy some things from here. But if there's no other questions from Argyle here, he is going to hang out with his daughter and he is going to go join the party. He offers, he says, my home is your home. If you'd like a place to sleep tonight, they have wagon space for that as well, and says that you're always welcome in this camp. And he goes off. So he will kind of scurry over. I've lost his daughter. She's gone again, which is great. But yeah.
So first thing Vemrak's going to do is, where's Bluto right now?
Bluto is tied up, I believe, on a horse still. Somewhere here at the fork in the road. I'm going to say there's like a Visanti or 2 just kind of watching him. It's raining. He's just kind of in the rain. The Visanti are dressed appropriately. They don't seem too upset with it. They're drinking and enjoying the night, even though they're kind of on Bluto duty at this point. So I'll move a horse over here, and I'll say that this is where he's at.
I like that.
Okay. Perfect.
So Vemrak's going to go over to Bluto.
Okay.
So what's going on with you? What's your deal? Like, I can't really understand who you are, even what you are. What are you?
I thought he was unconscious. Was that just me? I thought he had
No,
been
he was
knocked out
unconscious because
thoroughly.
he was knocked out. He's also super drunk.
Yeah, I don't think he's been awake, and I'm gonna say would not be awake at this moment either. So
Okay.
he's probably enjoying a much needed nap on whatever kind of bender he was on, or who knows what. But
Okay.
I'll get his token so we don't forget. What a lovely looking man he is.
Is that a reuse? Did you use that token in the past for someone? It looked familiar.
I don't think so. I might have, but if I know I'm going to use someone later, I try not to use their token, or I use a different one. Because there's some that some of these tokens in this by default like make people look like so evil, like you would never trust them. So it's like I'm going to find something else.
So I'm gonna try to shake him awake.
Okay. He's tied up, but not anything crazy. You have no problem kind of shaking him. He sort of rustles a bit, maybe says something under his breath, but then just kind of continues to sleep. Looks like it's going to be a little more than that, or maybe a little more time.
Okay, I'm gonna look for some water if there's any nearby, or if I have some on my person. I'm gonna go ahead.
I mean,
and
there's
just
horse water.
Yeah,
And you
I'm
can
gonna
find
go.
good water.
Yeah, I'm gonna go pick up some horse water, like a bucket,
Okay.
and that bucket's going all over his head.
Sure. Do you want to pull him down off the horse, or are you just going to do it while he's still kind of on the back of the horse?
I'll pull him off the horse.
Okay.
And I'll prop him up against like a cart or a barrel.
A wagon. Okay. Yeah, so you have no problem doing that. The other Visanti just don't even question anything you're doing. They're just like, do your thing. So you kind of move him here. The horse is kind of like drawn back over here. And then you are over here. So you kind of prop him up on a wheel and just kind of pour that bucket on him.
Yep.
Cool. So you hear like him breathe heavily as he's like trying to like breathe through this like half waterboarding that goes on for a moment, and then he's just kind of like the fish, the wine, fish, and then he's kind of I'm assuming he's fully tied up still.
Yeah. Yep.
He like you can tell he tries to like move around back and forth. God damn it. I can't get away from work for like 3 hours. Give me 1 second. I just need to send this text.
All right, I'm just adding flavor text to all of my weapons and spells now.
I want my great axe to say, "Surprise, motherfucker."
Some fries, motherfucker.
Supplies, motherfucker.
All rise, motherfucker. So he kind of jerks back and forth as if he's trying to use his hands for something, and he kind of shakes the water off his head and tries to like clear his eyes as the rain is now apparent to him, and then also the bucket of water as well. He looks up at you just confused, of just in complete confusion as to like where the hell is he, and just kind of doesn't speak as he's just staring at you as if he's just been woken up in a not so great fashion.
I'll give him some water to actually drink, some good water.
Okay. He takes that graciously, and then just blatantly is like, "Who are you?"
Well, I have some questions for you. I was sent to look for you, actually. And you somehow ended up with Argyle's daughter in a boat fishing. What is going on?
He starts to look around, and he's just like, looks at the two Visanti next to him, sees another person, possibly a robot, depending on how much he can see down the pathway a bit. Maybe he recognizes where he is, but you kind of see this fear in his face, and he's just like, "Oh God, get me out of here! What did I do? What do you mean?"
Don't worry. I just have some questions, and then we'll get you on your way. Okay?
Yeah. Well, get me under these restraints, and maybe there'll be a little more even ground to talk on. Come on, man. It's guys on the ground here. It's all wet. You just poured a bucket of water on me.
Yeah. Chill out. Okay? Relax. You don't have much room for negotiation here.
Well, I don't have to say anything to you because I don't even know who you are.
I'm like, you don't have to. And I'm going to point over to the guards who are watching him.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to say, you see those boys?
He looks over and kind of looks back at you. He's like, yeah, sure.
They plan on cutting your throat when I'm done talking to you, depending on how this goes. So it's totally up to you how you want to handle this conversation.
Roll persuasion.
Okay.
Or intimidation. That sounds
I
more
would
like
like-
persuasion.
Yeah. Persuasion, I think I have disadvantage. Intimidation, however. Fuck.
And he's like, yeah, well, I'm pretty sure they would have done that already, if they were going to. So, yeah, I mean, you get me up off the ground, and maybe we can talk. He's got quite a bit of like pep in his, speech here. And the Visanti closest to you that you've had no actual contact with, comes over with a knife, and like maybe at first seems like he's going to like cut him loose, and then he just comes over and just like punches Bluto across the face and like bends down and whispers something into his ear. And Bluto shuts the fuck up, and then the Visanti looks at you and just kind of gives you a nod, and then kind of like open palm hands over, like opens his palm and like moves his hand over, like, yep, there you go, like maybe try again, kind of thing.
Okay.
And Bluto just has got like some blood running down his nose now, and it's just kind of got this sort of horrified look on his face.
Okay.
And both Visanti just kind of go back to drinking and talking, like they're listening, obviously, but it's not their main concern.
They're like letting me do my thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'll start over. You're Bluto, right?
Yes.
My name's Vemrak.
Vemrak, nice to when he like coughs like some blood out of his nose. He's like, nice to meet you, sir. And it's like very forced.
Now that we understand each other, why don't you tell me how you ended up with Argyle's daughter in a boat in the middle of a lake?
He kind of looks down at the ground and he just thinks for, let's say, like 10 seconds go by. He says nothing. Do you want to do anything?
Nope. Just listening.
Another 10 seconds goes by, and he looks up at you, and it's possible that he's crying. It's hard to tell with the rain. But he basically tells a story that he's an alcoholic and a loser, and he has nothing going on in his life, and the Blue Water Inn, who he seems very upset with, and the Baron, who he seems very upset with. Just this big old sob story about how he doesn't have anything going on, and the wine ran out, and so he got a crazy idea to try and get some money fishing, and he heard rumors that there's a creature in the lake, that you've also heard as well. There's many rumors about the lake itself, but that at some point he had heard that you can possibly like summon this creature with a sacrifice. And so he seems to be possibly telling the truth, where he goes like, I initially wanted to just go and try and like become an actual functioning person in society, but then he saw this little girl who was obviously Visanti and obviously out of place, and this like evilness came over him, and he was much more happy to try and like sacrifice her or go out there and see if he could summon some creature and become famous off of that, or get riches off of that. There's all these kind of stories he kind of alludes to that don't really make any sense, but there was this concept that he could possibly basically get some wine by doing something other than just working for it. So he tells that story over the course of like 10 minutes, and then kind of just stops and then like looks up at you again. The Visanti next to him laugh like on multiple occasions about like some of the rumors, and then they seem just as uninterested, here and there. But yeah, that's basically the story he kind of breaks down for you.
Okay. Does he seem believable? Do I believe the story? Or does it seem like he's making it up on the spot?
Roll an insight check. You overall want to believe him, but you also wholeheartedly believe that he's just an alcoholic, and that there's really no one happy in Valky. Truly happy, at least. Very few people. And so it kind of seems like he's sort of just a product of that town as well, but decided to be even more of a lowlife than your average Valkan citizen, possibly. So it's definitely not like, oh yeah, all that's exactly true, but he's also telling a bunch of rumors and things like that. So in terms of his actual story, what he was doing, it seems to be plausible. Sure.
Okay. So who put you up to capturing this girl? Why did you pick her?
No one in his story does he ever mention that, and he looks at you kind of puzzled, and he's just like, I told you, man, like I was just in a bad spot. I mean, I still am. I just saw her, and I figured, I mean, the town doesn't take kindly to Visanti around. Like, there's a lot of hatred towards them, and he's like, no offense. So he like looks over, but he's like, they know it. Everyone knows it. So I just figured, like, I had heard a rumor that if you could possibly like summon this creature or speak to this monster, if there was like a sacrifice, and it was a horrible idea, and I mean, you saw me out there, like I was just fishing.
Tell me about the creature. What this is the first time I'm hearing about it, even though I don't think it is, but what is this creature? What do you know about it?
I mean, I don't really, like, I don't know. I didn't make these things up. I've just heard them. Like, some people say it's a giant like octopus type thing. Some people say you can talk to a mage, like a magic person that has endless treasure. Some people have heard of, I mean, just a lot of different stuff. So like, I don't know, man. You saw me, like I wasn't throwing her in, like I was just fishing. I mean, I had her in a sack, but like, I was in a bad place,
You know you're a fucking idiot, right?
yeah. And you can tell he's like agreeing with this, like to try and like say the best thing possible for just such a bad situation. So,
is any of my party like around hearing this, or are they mixing with other people?
as far as I know,
Observing.
just observer. Yeah, the others, I'm not sure.
Are any of you guys
Nearby,
listening
but
to me?
mostly fraternizing.
Yeah.
Like I'm half listening to the conversation, but I don't really care what you're doing.
Okay. I'll just look over to you guys and say, is there anything else we want to know from this guy?
Yeah, I don't think really knows enough to give anything useful. He's just a drunk idiot.
Yep, that's me. And he's like, speaking of drunk idiot, it seems like these lovely people who've been so gracious of hosts so far, they have wine, and possibly I could get some of that wine.
Yeah.
You know,
That seems like a good idea. And I'm going to go grab him a glass of wine or a thing of wine if I can find it.
the two guarding him, they do kind of give you a look at that before you leave. They're maybe kind of giving the idea that they're not sure how the brothers would feel about that.
I'm gonna give him a wink and a head nod, like it's okay.
Okay, cool. So he's like, "Oh, yeah, you're the most gracious orc I've ever met. Thank you,
And
Vern Rack."
so I'm not gonna give him the wine.
Okay.
I'm gonna. What kind of vessel do I have, like, to hold the wine?
Whatever you'd like. I mean, they have plenty of like mug type things, or more like like pouches for travel, things like that.
I'll put it in a pouch, and
Okay.
I'm gonna hold his nose with one hand,
Okay.
and then with the other, I'm gonna force feed him all the wine. I'm gonna say, "Open up," and tilt his head back, and I'm gonna forcibly make him drink all of the wine that's in the vessel.
Oh God. Okay.
And whenever that's done, I'm gonna say, "I have good news for you."
He's like coughing, but he's
I
happy overall.
I have good news for you.
Yes.
There-
More wine. Huh?
I have a feeling that all of your worries are going to come to an end very soon.
Oh,
And with that, I'm going to take
they
out my
found a
great axe.
shipment.
I'm going to take out my great axe, and I'm going to cut off his left ear.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, "It's not me who you're answering to tonight. It'll be the father of the girl who you kidnapped, and you'll be in the ground soon enough to end your troubles." And I'll walk away.
God damn. So in a relatively swift, I'm assuming clean, precise motion, it catches him off guard. If anything, he's trying to process a stomach full of wine, and then gets his ear lobbed off. He proceeds to obviously grab at it, blood everywhere, mixing with rain and mud on the floor. He's trying to lean over and apply as much pressure as he can, but he can't move his arms. So never mind, he doesn't grab at it.
I'm gonna say, "Let me help you." I'm gonna grab some mud off the ground, and I'm gonna like palm it into his ear to help just stop the bleeding.
Wonderful.
There you go.
So he's just screaming in agony, and the two Visanti just kind of like see the initial motion and kind of wince a bit, but then just turn around, and they can hear them. Like one of them says, like "God's damn." So yeah, I mean, Bluto is he's he's probably drunk enough, or a drunk enough, to be happy that he at least had some wine. So I guess that's that. He's kind of screaming and yelling, but we'll say in
I'll put a gag over.
a little
I'll
bit of
gag
time. Yeah, sure.
I'll gag him.
Perfect. So he's not an annoyance at this point. Are you keeping that ear?
Yeah, I'm adding it to my ear collection.
Perfect. Because if you can't see, at least you can hear.
Eye for an ear.
Cool.
You know what they always say.
That's it. Gandhi, 2017. Cool. Anyone else want to do anything at the moment? I assume most people heard a portion of that interaction, at least the initial lobbing off, but it seems there's been no hoopla about it, as the guards over here have probably kind of given the look of like, nothing to see here, everything's fine, and most are more concerned about partying than the person that kidnapped a little girl and was going to throw her in a lake. So they could give two shits. So yeah.
Vemrek wants to go talk to the daughter, but I'll let other people go that want to do stuff.
Okay. I guess I should find her character again.
I'd say that if you want to talk to her, then we could go talk to the elf.
Sure.
There it is. Was that the token I was using for her? Yeah, it was. You guys are free to do as you'd like.
If you guys want to talk to the knight first, or the elf first, I don't want to take all the talking time.
You can go ahead.
I may go down to the elf then. Trying to remember. Because I wanted to know more about this mound and their history. So.
Cool. Are all of you heading down, or just Toto?
Down to listen to.
I'll stay up at the camp.
Okay. So it's just Toto down here.
I'll go. I'll
Yes.
go talk to the daughter later.
Okay. So for those who are heading down, let me see. Standing quietly in front of this house, bathed in warm light of its lanterns, are three sullen, gray-cloaked figures, their angular features and black flowing hair half hidden under their cowls. They seem to just be kind of enjoying the night / watching guard. As you approach, they don't seem to necessarily know who you are, but are also not unaware of you either. The first one here in the front just kind of perks up and says, I assume you come in peace, friendly manner tonight?
Yes, absolutely. And I'll like I have my weapons on, but I'll be like pat him like everything's sheathed and put away. Just wanted
Sure.
to come talk.
Yeah, we know you've been in town for a bit, and seems like you've done some good for the Visanti up there, which is much appreciated. So, have you come to talk with Casimir?
I was hoping to, if he's amenable to visitors.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely always looking to meet new people. So please come on in. Feel free. And one of them opens the door. Inside is a very, very well made small home. Nothing incredibly fancy in terms of like items, but everything in here is like very well handmade. It's hard to imagine it's as old as you've like heard. These elves presumably being around since the time of Strahd. But I guess it's plausible. But everything in here is of a very high quality overall. Sitting at the desk or at the table at the far end of the home, I will say this fire pit is going as well, or fireplace is going. Possibly older. It's hard to tell. Not sure how long, or how many dusk elves you guys have seen. Probably not many, if ever. He perks up and kind of stands up and says, "Yes, friends, please. My name is Casimir. Welcome to my home. Is it you as well, Observer?"
Yeah, I'll go
Okay.
too.
He's like, take a seat, please. Would you like a drink, or did you get your fill up the hill there?
I'll
Oh, I don't drink.
happily
Sure.
have a
A
drink.
drink would be fine. Thank you.
Yes. So three of you. Just trying to keep track of characters. Race, are you not here, or you are down here?
I'm just up at the camp.
Okay. So perfect. He offers a drink to anyone that accepts it. It's like maybe like a tea type of drink. Very unique. I would say none of you that tried have ever had anything like it. It's a bit intense, but does have like a nice sort of calming effect to it. So it is enjoyable overall. But yeah, Casimir says, please take a seat. I'm assuming that maybe some of the townsfolk, like myself, have mentioned I'm keen to visitors. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and we're new to this land, so we're trying to meet people and learn a bit more about what's happening now, and maybe also what's happened in the past.
Sure.
Well,
Well,
what's going on in this place?
you've come to the right place. All of us here are a bit of historians, considering, well, we've been here the entire time of Strahd's rule, if you will, and before that. So You'll have to excuse, I do use his name. It may be a bit jarring to some at this point, but we never hid his name before, and we don't now. So if he wanted to kill us off, he would have, but our punishment is as you see. We are all males, and we cannot reproduce at this point. And so we are doomed to live out the rest of our lives with just who we have. So that's our little prison here in this wonderful place that you guys now find yourself in. Probably feels somewhat similar. I'm guessing none of you are from Barovia. Is that a safe assumption?
Yep.
Yeah, well, I do apologize, but I fear I've had nothing to do with that. But I do have a similar feeling, I guess you could say. So, please, it is a custom of ours that guests speak first. So, a little bit about all of you, and maybe we can get to questions about me or other things afterwards. I like to know who I'm sitting with, if that's okay.
Sure. I'm Toto von Hundenwald of the von Hundenwalds. I don't know if my family existed before, or was as prominent before you came to this place or ended up here.
It's like it's not a name I immediately recognize, but I have notated it, and if I can learn more, I would like to after we speak.
I imagine our nobility seems pretty mercurial to your particular way of going through time.
He kind of like shakes his head, but just trying to not seem so full of himself at the comment.
And I'll gesture to my fellows. We thought we were investigating a rather run-of-the-mill problem in the outside world, and found ourselves here after trying to accomplish another task, and now we're trying to piece together how to get out of this place. I'm starting to think there's only one way.
And what do you think that is? He kind of asks very particularly and is kind of looking right at you as he asks that.
I assume we either have to convince Strahd to let us leave or force him to.
Yes. Interesting. Well, Toto, wonderful to meet you. He looks across the table at you, observing. He goes, I've seen very few or heard very few of your kind. Please, who are you, and what is your backstory? What is your history?
Well, I'm an observer, and before I got pulled into this godforsaken place, I was hunting a rather peculiar demon. But now that we are here, I'm just planning on killing all the creatures that have stopped their cycle.
Yes, cycle. Do you mean their like natural life cycle? What do you mean by this cycle?
All the unnatural beasts, the things that live forever through unnatural means.
Yes, unnatural, I think, is the key there. But well, you'll find no shortage of unnatural and evil things in this land, as I'm sure you've come into contact with already. So thank you for that. And then last, Sir Orc, where might you be from?
I'm from the same land as theirs, and found myself in this situation with them. Kind of come from a mercenary background. I spent a lot of my days on the battlefield and seem to have continued that journey unintentionally.
I must ask, I hope it does not offend, as I hope you understand that while I have 3 guards outside, you could kill me, I assume, much quicker than they could get in here. I'm interested in your eyes, or I should say the lack thereof. Is that a subject that you mind talking about, or we can move on?
No, I don't mind, and I'll remove the bear headdress I've adorned to show him fully.
He seemed to know that you, without even, he hasn't necessarily seen that you had no eyes. He seemed to just know. By the way,
Okay.
Because I assume the headdress just doesn't show anything, right?
No, I mean I kind of pictured it as like, the head and the snout are on top.
Okay.
Are
Are there holes for eyes?
Like it doesn't cover the bottom half of my face. It covers like the head. I don't.
Okay.
Not like a mask type of thing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
people can see that I don't have eyes, but it's kind of like
It's a little less apparent.
Is
yeah.
Royce the only one of us that actually has normal eyes?
Yeah. Yes. I think.
Okay.
My eyes not normal.
Observer-
My robot eyes.
Yeah. Observer
You have
has
robot
two
eyes.
iPhones. Yours are like glowing, Toto, right?
Just white. They're
Just
white
white.
unless certain things happen. But yeah, they're just white. I have no pupils or irises that people can see.
We're all
You guys are all eye edge lords.
so
Fuck irises.
when we first found ourselves in this land, we came across this house, and there were tortured spirits there that we had to lay to rest and free some others. And unfortunately, while trying to escape this house, I did not make it, and I died. I went to the other side, and you can see like Vemrak is definitely perturbed by retelling this. Despite the kind of grueling orcish figure that this is like really hitting home for him. And on the other side, I met some being, and I'll describe the creature as best I can. Chat.
Yeah.
He gave me a choice. He gave me an opportunity to come back to this realm, but for a price. And that price were what you see I am lacking.
Casimir looks at you. He's intently listening the entire time. A couple things that you said sort of piqued his interest. Go ahead.
And I'm going to say, but it's not the first time I've met someone on the other side. Before I met this group, and I'll kind of hand motion to everyone around me, I had only just come back to this realm for the first time. I don't have much memory, but I'll lift up my my kind of like my shirt, my tunic that I'm wearing, and I'll show I have like this. It looks like it's like a blackish, leathery patch of skin, kind of in like where my kidney area would be.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I woke with this, and the last memory that I have is perishing on the battlefield and being stabbed. And this was the killing blow. But when I awoke, there was no wound. This is all I was left with. And I'd only just met this group a few days later and ended up here not that long after. So
I'm interested to know your thoughts on fate, Vimrak.
I'll kind of laugh at first. Fate. I mean, the only fate is when I drive my axe through somebody. That's really the only thing that I've known. I don't believe that anyone determines our path except for ourselves.
He looks at you. He goes, again, I mean no offense, but it seems like interesting words for someone who has seemingly died twice and still sitting at my table here today. But each of us has a path, I guess. It just depends on how we think we get to walk that path. So I appreciate all that info. I am curious. This home that you visited upon, your early time in this land. Do you remember whose home that was? It's a family name I might remember.
Yes, I do. Let me ponder for a second, sir, while
Let me
I believe
open.
they were the Dursts.
Yes. Sorry, my notes aren't open. Damn it.
You're good.
yeah, I'll describe the Durfs and the windmill sigil that they had,
Yeah,
and
so
the children that we had met.
Casimir kind of sits back in his chair at this name. He goes, "That is a name that I remember. It's what is the current state of the house now? Is it still there? Is it still standing?" Do you guys remember what you
Did we
did?
burn it down?
I remember
Yeah,
we
pretty
ran
bad.
out of it, but I don't remember what happened to it.
I believe you did burn it down.
Okay.
And then I also believe that is where Strahd made first contact afterwards with like a banquet set up on coffins. Is that correct, or is that my other
Yeah.
name?
No, you put a.
Okay.
I don't think we. Yes. Never mind.
I don't think you guys ate anything from there, but I think you guys used that like flame or something to basically just burn that place down. So Casimir sits back and he's like, "Yes, burned it down. I will be honest with you, as I feel like our relationship here, if you will, might be one that continues for a while being. It seems that we possibly walk a similar path. But I do want to make two things known, just up front, so there are no surprises later, and you possibly feel betrayed or used, if you will, as I must admit that number one is you are not the first group of travelers that have found their way to my humble home here, and who I have shared information I'm going to share with you in the soon to be. But at the same time, I can also not fully hate the fact that you are here, as because it is the only way that I can meet new people, if you will, that are not from this place and kind of find themselves in a similar vein. So, as if you are able to, and I hope that you are able to return to your previous lives, although I'm not sure how easy that would be considering the things you've been through and the things you'd have to go through. I wouldn't doubt that you'd want to go and find those that wronged you, and they're inevitably working with Strahd in your own world or home or whatever you'd like to call it. And if you do kill them, I understand, but I sort of appreciate them in a way, as it's the only way that I can possibly get the help that I need. On that point, I guess I'll explain a bit more about myself. My sister is the reason we are all alive here, and it is also the reason that she was the last female of our entire race in Barovia. She was to be betrothed to Strahd as one of his initial wives. He had many lined up for any number of reasons. And she was killed because of, oh shit, what's the name? Tatiana, I think. He basically says that she was killed for another woman, and that her remains were never allowed to be at rest. And Strahd was so angry with, God, hold on. I was very confident, and now I am not. Give me 1 second. I don't want to fuck up major parts of the story. I'm sure you could hear in my tone, I went from knowing what I was talking about to not. Too many goddamn ladies. Okay, give me 1 second.
While you're looking, I'm gonna be right back. I got pee.
Yeah, let's do a quick, 3 minutes. Or smoke break time.
Alright, I'll be right back.
Cool.
I'll be back.
Okay, I am glad I stopped, because I fundamentally had this entire story backwards in my head.
because there's only like 47 different character arcs in the story. I'll wait to make sure we're all back, but I have to retcon basically everything I said before. Hopefully it's not too confusing, because what's another quest for you guys, huh?
Hey,
Hey!
I think we're all still here.
Sterling's here.
Maybe. Probably not.
Chat, I bought a blinged out nightmare with crystals.
Ooh, I saw you're playing Eve again.
Yeah, I got the itch again. So
I saw some good fights the other day. I missed one by a couple minutes. I was like, damn.
yeah.
You guys got a paladin the other day. I think you run that kill.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've gotten a few marauders, but
Nice.
yeah.
Have you flown a nightmare before?
No.
Nightmares scare me. I'm not good with speed control, so I just am like perpetually out of range or way too close, and then I just die.
Yeah,
I like
this one.
stupid tanks.
This one will probably die. It's fine, but I've been doing a bunch.
How
of
blinged out is it?
It's blinged as fuck. I didn't even keep count when I was buying the modules.
What's the
All
the
abyssal.
nightmares bonuses are what, lasers and speed basically, and like armor rep or
Afterburner speed and
afterburner. That's so trolly.
well, that's their whole thing. 'Cause-
Yeah, I forgot. It's just like you can't even shut it off once you get there. You just have to web the shit out of them.
Yeah, and they're
That's
6
so
days
funny.
small. Yeah, turret. The roll bonus is energy turret damage and tracking speed. I'm
And
joking.
tracking. Plus, are you good? I mean, you're talking. That's good.
Yeah. So it's Kaldari and Amar, and Kaldari does bonus to afterburner velocity. Battleship does energy turret tracking speed.
Nice.
And
What
you
did
only
you?
use
That thing spits out damage too, huh?
I'm back.
high back.
So I want to retcon that entire story, and instead of role playing it now because I feel like I've already fucked it up, I'm just going to kind of give you an overview of what he says. But everything I said before is wrong. Most of it, 99% of it is wrong. So Casimir here, basically, fuck it, I'll role play it. So, he says, I want to just let you know that new people coming here kind of gives him hope. And then but he understands the situation you're in. He says that he too is trying to stop Strahd, but his main concern is his sister, Patrina, who he says he believes is closely tied to everyone's fate here in Barovia. And with a moment of kind of like pause, he states that he is receiving dreams from his deceased sister. And that they are telling him to visit a certain place in Barovia that could lead to bringing her back to life, which is his goal and her goal, but also breaking the pact that Strahd basically signed in blood. However, I just want to make it known that the reason she is dead and the reason that there are no female Dusk Elves left is that Patrina was initially going to be betrothed to Tatiana. Tatiana killed herself based on the Tome of Strahd you guys have because she wanted to marry Strahd's brother, who he killed. So she threw herself off the castle. In response to all this, Patrina Casimir explains, found it to be beneficial to her to then approach Strahd and try and marry him again, even though she was sort of taken and he was obviously not good for this whole land, and it was like a very selfish decision based on what she was after. So he admits that his sister was initially, functioning just out of like greed, and she just wanted power and things like that. But then Casimir kind of like glosses over the fact of like, well, she was then killed, and then Strahd was mad about that, so then he killed all the female Dusk Elves. But his main point here is he wants help getting to a place he calls the Amber Temple, to try and find a way to bring his sister back to life, but also to possibly unlock the quote-unquote secret or the additional information about, Strahd's power. I know that's a lot.
Sorry, so Patrina is a sister. She
Yes.
was betrothed to another female named what?
No, she was betrothed to Strahd against her, so she was betrothed to Strahd initially, but Strahd chose Tatiana, another female. And then Tatiana killed herself because Strahd killed his brother when...
Wait. Tatiana killed herself because she was in love with Strahd's brother.
Yes, Sergei.
Had to be a Sergei in this bullshit. Okay.
Strahd created the castle from the Tome of Strahd to impress his family and to basically have like a land to rule over. He invited his family and was going to marry multiple women, but initially, or in the end, he chose Tatiana to marry. Whenever his family came to live with him to like rule over this land, he believed, either correctly or not, I'm not sure if it's been confirmed, that his brother and Tatiana were into each other. And so he lashed out in anger and killed his brother. And then his soon-to-be wife, she killed herself. And then the guards inevitably turned on him, which led to the Visanti kind of saving him, which is why the Visanti have the relationship that they do. But in that same moment, around that same time, didn't happen instantly, this Dusk Elf woman, who was at one point to be betrothed to Strahd, approached him again and said, well, you can marry me. And he denied her. And then Casimir says that he says that she met the wrath of her decisions. It's kind of vague, because she was kind of betraying her people, and she was just trying to be with Strahd for power, and not necessarily thinking about obviously all the other consequences of that. But she ended up dying, and then Casimir is convinced that her remains are still in Castle Ravenloft, and that he is getting dreams from her that is telling him this information about this temple that would allow him to possibly bring his sister back, but then also give you guys information about how to potentially kill Strahd or learn more about his powers, if you will. Does that one make sense?
Real quick. So when she went back to Strahd and she was like, hey, you can marry me. I know your woman that you were in love with died, but you can marry me, because she wanted power.
Yeah.
Strahd said no. He denied her.
Yes.
And then why would he get mad if she was killed then? Like, he shouldn't have cared about her, I would imagine.
Casimir stands up and he kind of walks over to the sort of the drink area, grabs something from a different container and pours himself some and sits down. And he goes, I ordered the stoning of my sister back in that time because all of us felt that she was betraying her own kind and betraying Barovia by continuing to try and get power with this obvious evil that was approaching. And it's just now, hundreds of years later, that I am getting these dreams from her that prove that she has forgiven me, even though I haven't forgiven myself. And I now believe there's a way to bring her back and undo the wrong that I had done as well, by sort of inciting the killing of her.
I don't see anything wrong with what you did.
Well,
I'll give him a head nod.
I didn't believe that either, but it's never easy to kill one of your own in blood. However, I think that this has a direct connection to all of us because, well, selfishly, I'd like to speak to my sister again and, have her say that, have her hear from me that, I'm sorry for what I did. At least, I think that it also can play a huge role in the overall well-being of this entire land. So, take that as you will. But this isn't something I'm saying we have to do immediately, as I know it's a big task. There's some preparations that I know of for sure, having ventured to this place many years ago. But who knows how much it's changed. I've not met adventurers, if you will, in a while that seemed capable of possibly going through this this temple, if you will. It's a rather bad history with this place overall. So it's quite an evil that we're up against if you decide to go. But I cannot emphasize enough how much it can seem that I just want to go here to save my sister. But I assure you, I wholeheartedly believe that there's also reasons to go that would help all of you in your getting home as well and saving this realm as well.
Well, I'm sure any additional information we can learn about Strahd would be helpful. So let me ask you, Strahd had, when you had killed your sister, why did Strahd get upset?
Well, I mean, he may not have agreed to marry her then, but it's not as if he wanted to just have her murdered and felt that something needed to happen to punish the group that had killed one of his potential wives. He's very possessive, if you will, with that.
And
so
to get back at your people, that's when he had murdered the remainder of all the females?
Yes.
And what type of contact has your people had with Strahd since then, hundreds of years ago?
As far as I know, we've had very little to none. It was an effective way of kind of culling any kind of uprising, considering we know that any of us are the last of our line. So running in there to fight is not something that any of us really have any, pushing reason to do. We would like to somehow restore our race if possible. If I could bring my sister back, it would be possible that she could marry someone and continue. But I don't know of all the power in that temple. I'm not sure where it ends or where it even begins. So.
And are you sure it's not just Strahd trying to lure you to a place where he can kill you?
I mean, his overall banishment of us, in a way, has been very effective. If he wanted to just kill us, he could, but he's also, as you are well aware, not beyond just trickery and boredom, as he's here as well with all of us. However, I think that you guys are much more his playthings and style of entertainment as opposed to messing with the few of us that still remain. So it could be, yes, but one seems to be confident when they're speaking with family, even if it's from the grave. But I don't claim to know all the evils of this world.
And where is the temple? Has he told us that, or can we pull out our map?
Yeah, I can mark it on the map. Really miss my big map on the wall. My new office. Give me a second. Okay. X. Something may be marked here already. Oh, nope. That's right. Here is a control that brings all of you over. No, is it Alt?
That little barrow in the tall mountain.
Yes, right there. He says at the very least it is extremely cold. I am ashamed to admit that a group I went with, and the very few times I've attempted this before, simply perished to the elements. I would say that it's well below freezing, and adequate magic or clothing at the very least would be needed to survive such a place outside of any kind of evil magic that remains there as well. He points to a ring on his finger and states that this is a ring of warmth that he has acquired over the years, and it keeps him at a comfortable temperature no matter the elements that he's in. So he says, I'm fine, but just be aware that if and when we do decide to visit this place, we would need to make sure we were adequately prepared.
Sorry, is it magically cold, he said, or is that like normal for this land?
I mean, it's at the top of the mountain. Like if you look on the actual thing, it's like at the very top. So it's probably a bit of both. He's not sure. He's never been inside. He mentions he's gone just a handful of times. And most of the time he ends up just coming back with groups because they're just not adequately prepared. Sometimes it was a temple that, as far as he knows, was hidden by an ancient something, deity or group, because it's well before Strahd's time. And when you get there, it's effectively built into the side of a mountain, and it's only in more recent times, he says, the last 500 years, that it was even visible from the outside. So the power that created it was great. It's probably one of the greatest structures in all of Barovia in terms of its creation. But he assumes now that it could be full of bandits, but doubts that any kind of average human or creature, by that manner, would be able to get there and do much without some intense strength or cunning. So
I'm curious, your dreams, have you shared them with any of the Visanti?
I have not. I don't typically, we have a good thing going on here. While they sort of try and understand our plight, no Visanti can truly understand someone that's stuck here. So, and there's. Go ahead.
The Argyle's daughter, Annabelle. We
Yes.
only just met her. We saved her from this drunk who, whatever,
Yes, I heard.
believed he could sacrifice her to a lake monster. I'd like to ask you about that too. But when we came upon her, she actually recognized me, and she said to me that she has seen me in her dreams, and Let me look at my notes real quick.
Yes, the girl is very gifted. I'm not sure if you've met Madame Ava or not, but there are arguments of whether or not she is possibly going to be the successor to Madame Ava, or if there's just another one amongst the Visanti that has the gift, if you will, of sight. It can be a heavy burden. It tends to age you quickly, but the girl has told me things, trivial things at least, about my day that before they've happened and things like that. It's more common for sure amongst the Basanti for whatever reason, but still quite a gift or power, if you will, to have.
And well, I'd be curious what she would have to say about the dreams you're having with your sister.
Yes. I just again, I'm nervous to trouble the head of the Visanti about it. You know, I'm confident enough to risk my life going there, and if that is something that you guys would like me to do in terms of a prerequisite to help me understand that, I would do it. But I just try and not involve them with our problems, as they are the oldest in this realm or this world.
Well, I plan on going to talk to her tonight, so maybe you should join me. I'm gonna pull out the Book of Sleep.
Sure.
And I'm gonna just see if he recognizes it, and just ask him if he recognizes it.
He doesn't. He asks to hold it, though. Is that fine?
Sure.
Is he okay to open it and read it?
Yes.
Sure. So he does so. He's intrigued. There's not too much in there. I don't think you've only slept with this book a handful of times, right?
Yeah, only the ones that we've interacted.
Okay. He's intrigued. He's heard of magical books like this from a bygone era. He knows that for whatever reason, Barovia was a place of great magical attunement. You know, he mentions the many ancient wizards and magic users that came here in the past. And he's like, for example, the Amber Temple is a great example of someone trying to hide something or someone trying to create something. So he's definitely intrigued by it. He's happy to have gotten a chance to hold it and look at it, but he's sorry he doesn't know anything more about it.
I'm gonna write the names that he had told me in the book. I'm gonna write Petrina. I'm gonna write Strahd, Tatiana, and Strahd's brother's name.
Okay.
And I'm gonna write his name as well. Just gonna see if anything happens.
I forget exactly the verbiage I used before. It's been a while since we've run this, but it effectively has the same sort of nullifying effect as it did when Observer was messing with it. The only time it's really kept any
ink
is whenever the person in possession has dreamt something. So
okay. I'll look to the rest of the crew, see if they have any other questions.
I'm curious about two things, actually.
Sure, Toto.
The first one is this mound that your houses are built into.
Yes.
Is it significant in some way? Because it seems quite unnatural.
It does. As far as we know, it's not. It was just used as kind of a high ground, if you will, and the trees, for whatever reason, sort of naturally split here. I'd be interested to know if it did hold some ancient sort of power, but I hate to disappoint you. As far as we know, it does not. It was just a convenient place, and it's stayed very stable. over the centuries we've been here. So I'm not sure. Some people bring it up here and there, but most are okay with just living out their simple lives, or trading and drinking copious amounts of wine. As he kind of nods up the hill. So I'm not sure, but it's something I've wanted to look into. I know there are some significant mounds in Barovia. He mentions a hill, or like a mound down past the winery. And then he mentions some other sporadic ones that don't jog any memory of anybody kind of throughout the area as well. But as far as he knows, it's just a hill.
Okay. Thanks. Just wondering if there's more. The other question I had is there's an abbey to the north.
Yes.
We are planning
Yes,
on
there's a
visiting.
village, and there's a town, and then there's an abbey. Yes. You said you're planning on going there? I'm sorry.
Yes, we're planning on going there at some point. I was wondering if you know anything about that place.
Well, as far as I know, the town of Kreesk is very self-sufficient, and they don't typically even let others in unless they have some kind of appointment or reason, I guess you could say. It's not anything anywhere near the size of Valaki, but it does have a reputation of being secure and self-reliant. The abbey up top is an interesting one. From what we remember, you'll have to understand that over the centuries, many people have come here seeking any number of fame or wealth or power. There was I don't want to confirm that it was a human, as I don't remember, but I believe at some point there was a creature, if you will, that did inhabit the abbey. I would say well before even Kreesk was there, or maybe it was very the infancies of its townhood. I have to admit I haven't traveled much since, I guess, all of this. Again, we're not keen on dying, as we are so few now. But I believe that this creature, had good intentions initially, of doing something grand. Any number of other stories long forgotten. But now what you hear is all bad things. You hear howling and screeching and gnarling of teeth and things like that. But I've also, more recent times, which you have to understand is hundreds of years, maybe the last 100 years or so. Someone said there was an angel. I've never seen an angel in these parts. It would have a lot of work to do if it was here, I would say. But I'm sorry I don't know more. I would say it's definitely worth a visit, and I'd be curious to know of what you found there. But I don't.
That's in the Abbey, right? Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. So he confirms, and you guys have heard this. There's basically a town. If you look at the game map, you can see the hash marks kind of start right away. There's a town at the sort of the bottom, I guess, like lake level. As you'll notice, it's on the same level as like Lake Zarovich and the smaller lake here as well. And then like up the mountain side, basically, there's the abbey is overlooking that town. So it's not necessarily like, oh, you just casually go there. So it seems to be only accessible through the town, as far as Casimir remembers as well. So an interesting story, to say the least. But he mentions that this land has many of those, it would seem.
Thank you.
I just realized there's like an entire section of the map that there's just nothing. It's so strange.
Hey, it's Watsy. Don't worry about it.
It's so strange.
Say that again. There's a portion of the
There's
map
like an entire portion of the map where there's just nothing. It's like,
Make your own.
What do
I
you
know, I get that. Like up here, like the top right of the map, there's really nothing. That
Yeah.
like by default at least.
That
It's kind of odd.
that checks out, to be honest.
I mean, it's all mountains, so
Yeah,
I mean,
true. I mean, this is all mountains too, and continuously finding random shit.
I will
I
say
do
it's
like
weird. It's weird to see.
the openness of it, but I do feel like they put so much stuff.
Well, it doesn't look open
Weird to
because
see
it's
what?
just mountains and forest. But
I know, but it's like you think about how much is on like the west side over here. It's like there's so many things that aren't necessarily supposed to be done at the same time that are just all within like a crossroads. It's kind of strange.
true.
But
It's weird to see like the mountains to the south with snow, and then it looks like a temperate area otherwise.
yeah.
What other what season is it? Or I don't know how that works.
Rain.
It is rain.
It does look like there's supposed to be snow on the mountains to the very top right, like way up here, but
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to tell.
But like this mountain
I do
range that you
think
pointed out
it's-
near Ravenloft doesn't have no snow.
No, I don't. It's not nearly as tall though. I don't think, just based on the number of hash marks, it's a lot. Like this is just continual climbing right here.
I'm so bad at understanding how the hash marks work, and like where
It's
mountains
just like
stop and start.
Yeah, I mean, think of every. Yeah, it is kind of confusing. Every set of them is just an increase in
Like-
elevation.
Feet. Yeah.
Like if you just draw a line
20
from like,
feet or something.
yeah, if you draw a line, it probably says it. If you draw a line from like one point to another point, like how many sets of hash marks you go through, like it's that much elevation change. So like anywhere over here, like by Ravenloft, is like you're going up and down additional places, but there's only like 3 or 4 elevation changes at most. So it's very hilly, but like this is just like continuous climbing through here.
I have
Cool. Anything
I have
else you
been
guys want to do?
steadfastly not reading anything in the book, so I have no advice to give you.
Good.
I'm gonna do an insight check just to make sure I feel like he's being truthful, not trying to hide anything.
Sure.
As it loads. Let's go back to grab my character.
Castle Ravenloft is 1,000 feet above Barovia, and that would mean that the mountain here is probably 3 to 4 or 5 times that. So
Wow.
it's not a very tall mountain, I know, but who knows?
Have you ever tried to climb a 5,000-foot mountain?
No, but I know that most mountains are a little taller. He seems to be telling the truth, but he is choosing his words definitely very carefully. But that's kind of most people around here, right? So.
Oh, shall we get going?
I got nothing else. His question is, what do we want to do next? Because that kind of informs
Yes.
who we talk to or
That
what
is the next question.
I need to go
Festival?
talk to the little girl.
Sure.
I'm going to ask if he has any interest in coming along.
He appreciates your advice, but he would wish to speak with her, maybe in private, not such a public setting.
I understand.
But he goes, please, you can always find me here or close by. I am eager to go, but I understand that preparations must be made. He kind of sizes you up and goes, you'll want to make sure that you're ready for it. It will not be an easy task. And you kind of sort of like wink, wink, like be strong. So be of a correct level.
Fair enough.
Are there any signposts that say we must be this many levels tall to ride the mountain?
Right. Stack up the number of axes you have. If it reaches this line, then you're fine.
Yeah, like
No.
you're breaking my verisimilitude.
Is your archer whispering to his bow? Great. You can probably go here.
There's definitely no foreshadowing. I'm going to ask him if there's any like urgency to these dreams, like, or if it's something that he just.
No, it's been something that he has had for. I mean, he's had for the better part of a decade. He understands that most of his. You have to understand time for this guy. Like, he had a life before Strahd, and Strahd was 400 years ago. So, nothing really here is done quickly. And they live a careful life as to not die by, unnatural causes, because they typically live very long. So, he's, he said he's had these dreams long enough to know about this place and attempt it with other groups. He's like maybe twice. One of them led to what he calls them, some of them perishing in the elements, because it was like the first time up, they just weren't prepared. And then the other group effectively got to a certain point and just turned around and was like, we're not ready for this. And then he never saw them again. So there's this idea that like most groups that come to this land, like through what seems to be Strahd's bidding, they don't last too long. They go crazy. They just attack Castle Ravenloft, or do something to where they're just not seen again. So he knows that's grim, but he's just being honest.
Cool.
Honest dudes, you're gonna die. Wait, what?
You're gonna die.
I'm good to go talk to the little girl. If you guys don't have any more questions for him.
I'm good.
Royce, did you want to? You had stayed up at the village. I know you want to like talk to people about your stuff.
Yeah, I already had. They, there's like some outlying camps of kind of rogue ones that lay around, but nothing that they keep track of or know the whereabouts of.
Let's talk to the girl.
Yeah. So we return back to the camp.
Okay.
And I will see if I can find Annabelle.
Yeah, she's easy to find. She's like with her dad, just kind of in the tent. Their guys are all greeted with like a cheer, and most of them gonna gulp down some additional wine.
I'll pull out the ear of Bluto and I'll wiggle it and I'll give a smile to the dad.
Most of them are like cheering. You can tell some of them are like, "Oh God, that's a bit gruesome." They're not all seasoned warriors, but they still
Argyle and Lavash definitely give out a loud a cry of accept, or what's the word?
One
You know what I'm
of
talking about.
us. One
Yeah.
of us.
So
And I'll look at Argyle and say he's well aware of the doom that awaits him.
yes, I heard that you did quite a number on him. I appreciate your restraint, Vimrak, and not taking the kill that is mine. But I do respect your need to learn more. So absolutely.
I was hoping to talk to Miss Annabelle here. I forgot her name.
Yeah, I mean, of course, if she's willing, you know, here she is. And he just kind of looks at her, and she like perks up. She goes, "Oh, you decided on our next adventure?" The dad like rolls his eyes, and he's like kind of like just pushes her towards you, and he's like, "Good luck," and he like continues to like drink and eat.
And we can talk in here or out there. It doesn't matter to Vemrak, but I'll look at her and I'll laugh about her comment about finding a new adventure and say, you had mentioned that you thought you knew me and you'd see me in one of your dreams. I understand that some of the Visanti have this ability, and I want to know what you know about me because to be honest, I don't know much about my past.
She looks like a bit bashful now. It's like she's kind of put on the spot for something that maybe she doesn't talk about a lot. She kind of looks around a bit, but she's like, "Well, I don't know you necessarily, but I've seen you. Um, you know, like I've seen some of your fights you've been in. Like she recalls, let's say, um you guys fighting like the blights, and she's like, I remember seeing like you like just pulverize this tree thing, and like splinters over you're really scary whenever you're mad, by the way. And then like I've seen other people too, like in your group, and she kind of just like mentions these like just kind of like very random um events, if you will, that have kind of taken place. Not all of them you even recognize as like, oh yes, I remember that, because it could have been like observer walking somewhere or passing by a booth in Valaki. So you can't really confirm all of them unless everyone's there, and kind of willing to do so. But she goes, no, and I saw that that thing. The my dad taught me a word. He said deity, or like a god, I guess, that maybe gave you your well, he took your eyes. And she like whispers, as if it's like kind of a secret. But I don't know. I'm not sure who they are. I've never seen them before or since then. But as I'm sure you know, like it's really hard to forget what that thing looked like, right?
Very much so. Sorry, I'm trying to find my notes, chat. Trying to find
You're
in my
fine.
notes.
But she's like, well, but that's why I would be so helpful on an adventure, because maybe I could see danger before it happens, or help you guys find like a secret door, or something like that, or just dream about random things that don't matter. But that's all part of it, right? Like,
yeah, you have many adventures that lie ahead of you. Don't be in too much of a rush. I'm gonna ask her. I'm gonna describe the card that Madame Ava had gave to me,
okay,
and they've been in my visions about the stones at the end of the river.
sure.
and I'm trying to look from last session if she had said that to me. She mentions the tall stones I've seen. Okay, so I'm gonna ask the tall stones that stick up from the ground in a swamp, and just say, what do you know about these? What have you seen?
Let me check the map. What level are you guys? 6, right?
6.
Yep.
She goes, I've seen I've seen those before. But not in person. But I think they're close. I think they're to the south. But I'm not sure what they're for. I mean, yeah, you have some stuff to work out for sure. She kind of laughs, like, just your predicament here with all your visions and whatnot. But if I had to guess, I think they're to the south. They're by water. Did you know that they're by water?
Madame Ava's thing had said by a river, and she mentioned to me by a swamp.
Okay.
Or in a swamp.
So Arabelle's like, well, there's both of those if you just follow Lake Zarvach to the south. Like, it only goes one way to the south, and it's got to be down there somewhere. So, I mean, we can go whenever you want. Like, I could, I can swim too, so that helps.
Looking at the map, where is it?
She's not sure. She's basically saying it's down this river.
Which one? I'm asking you.
The only one that goes south from Zarvich, so the main lake.
Okay,
so down this waterway.
Okay, and that. Okay, and I don't know where the swamp is.
The only swamp that you've heard is the village of Breeze, and that's down here. And you've heard it described as a swamp before. So at some point, that river may become a swamp. So there's obviously a lot of water down there, but there's a path, sort of. So can you guys see any lines dotted or red, like in this area here?
No.
Okay. Okay, cool. Right at this fork in the road is a trail that heads south in this direction, but it's, whenever you guys have passed here, it's very it maybe at one point was traveled a lot, but is now very overgrown and very untraveled, if you will. But you can go, I'll just draw it. You can go this direction. If you wish. How do I change the color?
Yeah, I mean, we can follow the riverbank, essentially, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
We have to go just around the river bend.
Oh, no. Yes. As long as you take some character from Avatar with you, I'm fine with it.
I'd make the I see you joke, but we already have somebody who's had his eyes ripped out by something that can see.
Awesome. The Riverbend. What a great song.
You know, I'm going to have to cut that section from the song, from the video, whenever I get around to making it, because I'll get copyright struck, right?
Disney's going to be like, this has 6 views. Take it down.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure you're safe.
You'd be amazed what gets you copyright struck.
So funny. I'm going to start just randomly playing like Moana.
Can have fucking-
Can't they go as far as to say like if you start singing a song on your stream, like they can fuck you up?
Probably.
It's crazy. Like I'm at a point where when I run games, like people are like, "Oh, I found this great music," and I'm like, "Is that listed as copyright free use?" And
Now,
like, if
do you think that this is the like record industry's way to supplement their income due to the decline of the record industry and like how there's so many more independent artists nowadays?
I don't think
No,
they're really
I
making
honestly,
money
I
off-
think
they're all frivolous, really.
the way copyright works, if you are aware of it, you have to defend it. It's like trademark too. Like if you don't aggressively defend it, you can basically lose your case.
Yeah.
Somebody can prove it. So, like, it's basically just lawyers being lawyers.
Yeah.
Like it's.
Fair enough.
I had posted had an awesome fight in one of my games where I used some random song from what was that?
Like Lord of the Rings or
No, it was the game about the lady who's crazy. It was the first person game.
Lady Who's
Senua's
Crazy.
Struggle or whatever it was that
Oh,
came out.
yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't even realize I grabbed a boss fight theme from that and put it
Okay.
behind my video, and it was like a cover of the boss fight theme. Bam. Like the only reason the
Damn.
video is still up is because it's non-monetized. And I was just like, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
So I learned that lesson hard.
That's crazy.
I even, for a while, I was using a subscription service for music for one of my games, and I bought the package that they had to use your stuff. And because I hadn't gone completely through the registration process, they hit like 5 of my videos, and I had to go back and get it all lifted. So I'm over it. Like, nope, I'm only using shit that people post like free use for your game. I'm like, okay,
Yeah. That's crazy.
because I do it because I get energized like once a month to make a bunch of videos, not because I'm trying to make money off of this shit.
Right.
Anyway. Random digression. We were asking about where the stones are. They're at the south of that river in that lake, kind of by the
Somewhere
bridge, or-
south.
Okay.
To the south.
To the left, to the left.
Get out of your system. Sing every song you want to sing. That way I can just cut it all out at once. There's just going to be this segue where the video jumps a minute ahead, and I say that.
No, that's just Vimrak singing.
Everything you own in a box to the right, to the right, to the right. Can't copy strike that, bitch.
That's funny. Let's probably stop here because it's 12.
Yeah.
If you guys can before next game kind of jot down your thoughts if you want to like talk amongst yourselves now or put in the Discord later about what you'd like to do because it's very open-ended. I think there's one day until the festival. If you guys just don't want to arbitrarily, like if it's stopping you from doing other stuff, I don't mind just making it tomorrow for the festival. That way, if you guys are just kind of over not feeling like you can leave, or if you don't want to miss it or don't care. So that's an option. I don't mind retconning that just for the sake of having fun. In the book, it's like you walk into town, you have one day, it's the festival, and it's like, dude, it's ridiculous. So I followed someone's advice this time to really like give you some time to learn the town. Like Observer can attest to the fact that like the first run through Valaki, like I don't think it really felt like a place, and I think it really feels like a place now, which is cool. But then there's also a limit to how much you want to learn of a place that like Toto was like, I don't really care about this place.
I love everything you have tried to do with Valaki, and this is not like about you at all.
No, I totally understand.
I just don't give a fucking shit about those people. Like,
yeah, and it's just from like a character's perspective. Like, it just seems like a bunch of assholes and then a few decent people. Like,
yeah, like I'm basically the point where I'm happy to literally go anywhere on this map that is not Valaki. If we go to Valky, I'm not gonna like. If everybody else wants to go there, that's fine. I'm not gonna get in the way of that. I am more happy going to the Abbey or these stones or that hut or whatever the hell's on the north side of the lake or any of these other points of
30 places.
Literally anywhere where I can like live
That's
into
what
my
that's what I'm
character.
saying. If you guys want to hit the festival, just to do it, you can. If you don't give a fuck, I don't care what you guys do. There's a real crossroads now. So I'm relatively confident on a couple spots, but there's a lot to do. I will just say it's a bit retconny, or it's a bit like, I don't know what the word is.
Look, we're in an immortal
It
shadow land, place of madness. If time slips, whatever.
My point is this: the Amber Temple is tough, and Breeze is tough. Everything else I can probably work around, so just be aware of that. I've tried to make it clear when talking about those places that they're intense. So if it's up to you, but possibly go anywhere else besides those places. So
Besides which two?
Amber
Breeze
Temple
and the
and
Amber
Breeze.
Yeah. Well, maybe. Yeah, maybe we can look into.
That still leaves open the Dragon Temple / Fortress, the Luna River, searching the lake for Sterling. There's a hut here you guys have not been to. There's the Abbey / Kreesk. There's the spot from Hunters, Christian. Notes a hill with a tree. There's, I think that's the main points. There's some loose ends for sure in terms of people you're looking for, things you're doing. Arena is looking for help to get to Kreesk. You guys know all the
We
other
didn't.
outlying shit.
We did not kill the hags, right?
They got away.
Yeah.
I think you burned down.
We burned down the
windmill,
windmill, but
You guys burned down
like,
a lot of stuff.
just a walking
beginning.
arson.
Basically, yeah. You guys are
Hey,
just like getting
you know
off.
what? Is it
So
arson?
trademark.
Is it
Right.
arson if we own it? We owned both
True.
of those houses technically.
Yeah, you should have told Casimir, like, yeah, well, we're actually owed the deed to the windmill that was. So
we could go back to Barovia and burn down a trio of houses.
right. They probably wouldn't even give a fuck.
So I'm fine with leaving Valaki. I feel like since we've done as much as we have, we might as well. Since we're so close to the festival, we might as well go to the festival to see, at least just to see what it's about and stuff. But I don't really care which other way.
There's also the gems that are missing from the vineyard, which might lead to who knows what. I think that Davin had mentioned, I think, a connection with possibly the village of Breeze and the gems missing, but there's also the whole, like, why are these sapling type druids attacking? What are they after? It seems like they're after the gems. So eventually this whole area is kind of going to go into withdrawals of the one thing that makes people happy besides selling their children for pies, and that's alcohol. So you may not give a shit, but it could be a way to get yourself some barrels of wine and
market.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Vemrak has identified a market opportunity now that there is no supplier of meat pies. He is going to he's going to now advertise for cream pies and get your cream pies.
That's better than I thought you were going to say. I'm going to go take over control of the orphanage and just start making the pies again.
Okay.
Claudia, step aside. We got it from here. We need to exit. That child's a demon. You just cut him down.
No, you got to do it a limited time, right? You got to really,
Right,
you got to
Limited time
stretch
cream
out.
pies.
Oh man.
Sweeney
It's like,
Orc, the orphanage of. Oh man.
It's like what's the type of sushi experience like where the chef makes it for you, like by one omasake? It's
Yeah, like right. Oh god.
omasake experience cream pies.
Jesus
Come and get your fill.
Christ. Oh my god.
Do you feel empty inside? Do you need to be filled up? Well, come on down to Vemrax cream pies.
I'd try him out.
We've suddenly switched into the J.R.R. Martin storytelling trope of just
Right.
tear body parts off people.
Yeah. Yeah, all
I mean,
related sexually.
I've been collecting ears since episode session 3. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that with my Blood Rager when I had one, so I appreciate that.
what's a blood
Appreciate
rager?
that, Clark.
In Pathfinder, a Blood Rager was a barbarian sorcerer hybrid that would get to cast a free spell every time they raged. Shatner loved it so much.
Oh god.
Very cool.
How would you like a barbarian to get to cast haste on themselves at the first round of combat? Yes, no, maybe.
Like
What
Chad
was that?
says, he still controls the health of everything we fight. So
What was when we went up to the what was the thing underneath the bridge in Magnamar? You remember that place? It had like the abomination in the bottom of the tower.
Oh
And
yes.
you set it up as like this big boss fight, and I took it out.
Just
Just-
one shot it. There was
just
like all
one-
those levels of the tower, so like my whole session was like, okay, they're gonna fight, and then this thing's gonna like climb up the tower, and it's gonna fall on them, and it just turned into like a parkour episode because it was dead, and then they just tried to climb up the useless tower. It was only there to like give this creature something to like cause a physical hazard with, but they're like, there's got to be something up there, and I'm like, no, there's nothing fucking up there.
No, there is. There was the real boss was at the top of the tower.
Is that what it was? The girl?
The girl that we tried to push the statue on, and it failed horribly. So that was my comeuppance.
It's so funny.
Oh.
I just remember you played in the game with what's his name? A something.
Astriel, Gabe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where he just got decapitated on like session 2. Remember that?
Yep.
That was so funny. And I'm just sitting there like reading and like I know he'll take it fine. I do have a history of murdering people early, but like he literally like they walk into like a cave and they're looking for goblins, and like he literally rushes to just face tank this like goblin chieftain on a mount. And this thing has like a bonus to like if you do a crit while mounted, you just
Salamander.
cut the thing's head off.
The salamander goblin that rode the wall and just sliced his head off.
Yeah, I'm just like, bruh. Oh, it was so funny.
He loves that shit. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I know. He was like in every time he logged into Eve, he's just like, dude, I got my head cut off yesterday. I died in the first session. I'm like, oh my god.
And then my guy somehow managed to. Was that the same game? No, that was a different one. Sorry, I've played Rise like 2 or 3 times. I think he tried to run Rise, and in the first session, I ended up like I was playing a sorcerer, and I ended up knocking out half of the party to stop them from doing something stupid.
Oh my god.
And so like it became this running gag that I would knock out 1 or 2 players every combat from behind, and they never knew it was me. So I was constantly making up lies about how they had been knocked out.
Knocked out.
Yeah, it was great. Anyway,
that's so funny.
Sorry guys, we had our story time.
That was fun. That's the whole point of D&D. It just creates hilarious stories.
Thanks, chat. I'm gonna go to bed. Thank you, everybody.
Yep. Have a good night, guys. I actually have to go work right now, oddly enough. So I know I have to drive to I have to drive to Rancho Bernardo